Speaking of fetishizations, let's talk about Mark Wahlberg, who apparently refused to star in the movie Brokeback Mountain. Now, we did talk about this the other day. I think it was like in passing, um, where I mentioned that Mark Wahlberg was supposed to star in Brokeback Mountain. I had heard some stories that he was supposed to star in it, but he turned down the role. But we didn't really talk about exactly what the tea was in regards of why he decided to turn down the role. But hold on, I was stolen so I could pull up this photo. Oh my gosh, hold on. Because it's like, we need them background photos and things of that nature when we talking about the peoples. So, with news coming out recently, because they said that not only was it Mark Wahlberg that was attached to the role, they had the usual suspects who were the bigger actors back in the day. So, Leo DiCaprio was approached, Brad Pitt was approached, Matt Damon was approached, and Ryan Phillippe. Those were the four that were approached to be in Brokeback Mountain, but they had turned it down. I also heard that Gus Van Sant was supposed to direct before Ang Lee, but because he couldn't get those actors, he ended up turning it down as well. So the National Enquirer is reporting that Mark Wahlberg's Catholic priest advised him to pass on the project. In a 2007 interview that apparently is making the rounds in 2024, because I guess slow news day on their part, or I should say in white media circles. Mark Wahlberg said he met with Ang Lee about the movie, but was reportedly creeped out after reading the 115-page script. Wahlberg, now 53 and looks old, about 63 in the face. This is an older picture. I mean, a picture that was like years ago. This ain't what he look like now. The body is bodying, but the face, looking a little aged out. And Wahlberg, 53, best known for roles in The Departed, and they said the Transformers. But I liked him in um Boogie Nights. I loved him in that movie. That was like when he showed he had at least some kind of range. But anyway, so it says that he could have starred in the 2005 Ang Lee epic Brokeback Mountain, which became one of the most successful LGBTQ plus films in history and netted 3 Oscars. I even went to the movies to see Brokeback Mountain with some friends, my older gay friends. However, Wahlberg confessed to feeling uncomfortable due to the graphic, descriptive nature of the script, which tells the tale of 2 American cowboys turned gay lovers, with the roles ultimately played by, may he rest in peace, may he rest in peace, Heath Ledger, and Jake Gyllenhaal. So in a 2007 interview, Wahlberg said the film's first sex scene between the cowboys Ennis Del Mar and Jack Twist left him feeling convinced the movie wasn't his deal. He said, I met with Ang Lee in that movie. I read 15 pages of the script and got a little creeped out. He added the spitting on the hand, getting ready to do the Okay, so here's the thing. Now, which part was he supposed to play? Was he supposed to play the bean eater? Meaning that he would have to bend over and get it from the back? Or was he playing the Heath Ledger character? I have a strange feeling that he was up for the Ennis character, because if I'm trying to remember correctly, Ennis was played by Heath, right? And Jack was played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Or is it the other way around? Let me know in the comments, because it's been so long I've seen Brokeback Mountain. And I think Brokeback Mountain is actually on one of the streaming services. I think it's on um, Max, if I'm not mistaken. It might be on Max or Netflix, one of them, but I think it's more or less on Max. Because I was scrolling through for something to watch the other day, and I did see Brokeback Mountain up there. So it says, before Lee, who would win the Best Director Oscar for the film, took on the project, my own Private Idaho, and I love that movie too. Shout out to River Phoenix, may he rest in peace. And Keanu Reeves. My Own Private Idaho filmmaker Gus Van Sant was approached to direct, and he revealed numerous A-listers had been offered and passed on the project. He told IndieWire in 2018, oh wait, Gus Van Sant passed away too. Damn, a lot of people died since this article. He told IndieWire in 2018, nobody wanted to do it. I was working on it and I felt like we needed a really strong cast, like a famous cast that wasn't working out. I asked the usual suspects, Leo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, and Ryan Phillippe. They all said no. And that could have been around the time because, Ryan Phillippe, well, Matt Damon was in the Talented Mr. Ripley, which some people call that a gay film. No, it wasn't. You playing a deceitful, evil ass man. You're not lumping that with us, Chad. And Ryan Phillippe was in 54, which I saw that in the movies too. I love that damn soundtrack. Um, and he had his same sex scene with Breckin Meyer, but they wound up cutting all that out. If you look in the right places, probably social media, you can find the scene of him and of Ryan and Breckin's same sex encounter that was cut out of the film. It is floating around in social media circles. So it said, yes, all those young gentlemen at the time turned down the project for various reasons. Probably because 9 times out of 10, a lot of the agents and people that work behind the scenes will advise actors not to take on those parts. We've heard many conversations about actors, from Queer as Folk who were told, oh, don't, turn down those roles, don't do that part. We've heard actors from Noah's Ark that would say that. That was the big thing in the 90s when, we were becoming more progressive in telling real same-sex stories, or the 2000s when we would have those sort of things where we would tell those type of stories of outside of, oh, this person died of AIDS or whatever the case was. We would have those where people were taking more risks in those roles. A lot of the actors were told not to do it. So it said the film earned widespread critical acclaim and landed 8 Oscar nominations, including Supporting Actor and Best Actor Oscar nods for Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger. It took home the awards for Best Director, Best Original Score, and Best Adapted Screenplay. The film lost out for the Best Picture Oscar to Crash, a decision that has since been marked as one of the biggest upsets in the award show's history. Gyllenhaal reflected on the most famous lines of the movie, saying, "I wish I knew how to quit you," and how powerful that scene was to him. He said that line was moved. It had been mocked. It had been everything in between. But I remember coming out of that scene off the ridge of the hill and seeing a number of the crew, some of which didn't even know whom didn't know what the movie was about, crying. When I first read the line, I was like, what is that? Now I realize that anybody who has loved knows what that feels like. The interesting part of casting us at such a young age is that we didn't completely understand what we were involved in. And that's the beauty of the movie as well. I totally agree. Because I'm like, yeah, I wish I knew how to quit you. That is a line that is so powerful and resonates, today in regards of how people receive that film and what it was all about. Because that's how I felt. It's just like I didn't understand what I wish I knew how to quit you, because I was never like, I was so young, I wasn't in love with nobody. I was out here just hunching. So and trying to find my own way into the world. So to me, it was like Brokeback Mountain was a very good movie. The beans, we still clown to this day about, okay, first of all, you were not fucking somebody with just some spit after they just ate some damn beans. But me, I'm not surprised by Mark Wahlberg turning this thing down, because Mark Wahlberg, remember, in his past, he almost went to prison for being a racist because he assaulted an Asian guy. Growing up in Boston, that whole Cali thing, that's no excuse, but we know there's a lot of white people out there who are notoriously racist and still are, or still are. You know how they be talking. Pat the card, bat and Harlem Yard, or Harvard Yard, as they would say. And I'm not surprised that Mark Wahlberg would turn that film down. I mean, look, there was almost some homosexuality or homosexual stuff that was in Boogie Nights. With him and the prosthetic peen, and the fact that y'all had Philip Seymour Hoffman, man, he rescued. We talking about a lot of dead actors in this thing. Was kind of would had like feelings for his character and how he killed himself and that whole sort of thing, which that scene still like freaks me out to this day. I would just like, that whole situation. I don't even want to revisit that. But to say, Brokeback Mountain, very important film. I love that it did what it did at the time. I'm glad Mark Wahlberg turned it down, because he would not have been able to really bring us the gravitas that those two actors did. So the right people got the right part. I'm glad that it went to Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger. At least they, even though I'm sure they have their trepidations, they were man enough to, and, even though some people find this problematic whenever we say straight people are so brave to do a gay movie. But yeah, I do feel like I'm glad he didn't do it. You did us a favor by not being in that damn in Brokeback Mountain. So, shout out to you. Shout out to these fine ass men, Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger. You know, I love me some Heath Ledger. I really wish that he was still alive because I would have loved to have seen. I would have loved to have for him to have seen what his part as the Joker in The Dark Knight, how people that character resonated with so many people, even though y'all were against him playing that part in the beginning. I guess because of all the teen films that he did and all that other stuff, but he proved that he was a good damn actor. And it would have been nice to see, you know, him in there. And then Matilda, his daughter, you know, that he has with Michelle Williams, would have got to see, like, grow up with her daddy and stuff. But you know what? Unfortunately, things happen. I like Heath Ledger. And yeah, and I love Brokeback Mountain. Now me talking about, I might actually revisit that movie this week on one of the streaming services. So what do y'all think of this story? Y'all glad that Mark Wahlberg, racist, homophobic ass, you know, didn't start, you know, partake in this film? You know, there have been stories about him being a homophobe as well back in the day, that he used to fight gays and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, the gays was your bread and butter when you was doing your mediocre ass rap music. Shout out to Eminem for clowning him at TRL. That shit still lives free in my brain. To my y'all, we could be one big funky bunch. And I still remember that clip. It's still floating around on the internet. So Mark Wahlberg has always kind of given that, and then how he's big, like this big Jesus freak. You know, if you into your religion, that's great. But I'm still mad at y'all for casting him as Sully in Uncharted. That was a huge mistake. I still am rooting for Stephen Lang. Y'all should have had him in that film from the beginning, and then skewing somebody older to play Nathan Drake. I'm still mad over that. That was a huge miscast on both parts. The Nathan Drake character is a miscast. Tom Holland should not have been picked to play that part, and Mark Wahlberg should not have been picked to be Sully. And quiet as it's kept, Donnie, in my opinion, is the better actor. I love Donnie. I watched The Sixth Sense the other day. His role in that film, he's so unrecognizable in that. And to me, he's always been the better actor and the better performer, because you know, like I say, he's in early in the show when I was running down the topics, he was the biggest thing, or he's the more um the bigger one to come out of New Kids on the Block. Like, he's the standout of New Kids on the Block. You know, the people gravitate towards him. Well, yeah, everybody's got the individual people that they love. Everybody loves Joey McIntyre and all the others, but Donnie is like the biggest, more famous one to come out of that. And then doing 15 years of Blue Bloods, which I heard just I think maybe a week or so ago, or last month, they wrapped up the final season that's going to air in the fall. So Donnie out here doing his thing. But yeah, Mark was always the one that was like, I guess, the big A-lister, but I guess pretty privileged, it works. But the talent was always questioned. And then also, like I said, he capitalized off the gays. Like, you performed at gay clubs, and then he always would, you know, the whole Calvin Klein campaign and all that other stuff that he was, you know, we lived for him back then too. Him, and it's funny how all the ones that gravitated towards the gays turned out to be crazy. Him, Antonio Sabato Jr., all of them. But anyway, let me know what y'all think of this story down below.